Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's our chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and we have today Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you very much for having me on again. Welcome to my porch.
Yeah, and great to have you as always. And Jim Eat from Eat Foundation. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thank you, Sasha. I look forward to today's chess.
Yeah, great. Although today is a great day to talk about investments as well, because the market performs fabulously well today. And as we discussed yesterday on the show, it was a big question about what will be the numbers of
Right.
ICPI. So far, it's doing a great job. Earnings are good, so we'll see. Okay, now today let's pay attention to World Cup. Chess World Cup. We have we had a great contingent from US. Now, unfortunately, Wesley So is leaving the tournament after unremarkable loss and then a draw. So Fabian is fighting, and I think he'll make it to next round, or already made. Um, and of course, Nakamura is a fighter, and that's all ahead of us. See now, again, what
He
you
goes
would
to tie.
like to
Nakamura goes to tie breaks against the person he called the Brilliant Prague. So
Yes,
had,
yes,
had
he
not
is.
faced
He's
him
awesome.
classically. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Prague is enormously skillful, but I think I would put my bets on Nakamura though. He is highly effective in short time control
Very true.
games, and somehow he can mobilize himself really and play on a very high level when it really counts. This is a rare gift, and Nakamura has it as much as anybody else.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ken, what interesting games from what you've seen so far you would like to
Well,
share with
we are
us?
watching right now Magnus Carlsen fighting for his life
Yeah.
in round 2, and I have the previous game by Carlsen was also remarkable, and I have Humpy Konaru winning on demand with black against Bella
Oh,
Kotanashvili
that's
Okay.
an interesting result, right? She needed to win.
in a dramatic game of the women's section today.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
let's see.
Very cool.
Yep. So let me do this and just go to my tabs. But let's look first, and we'll come back to it, at the game that is ongoing. Magnus Carlsen needs to win as white. He is a pawn down in an endgame, but two of black's pawns are weak, and he has some pawns, a past a pawn that is halfway to becoming a queen. On the other hand, black's bishop controls the
queen
super
square.
important diagonal. So it's a question of whether white, after winning the c pawn, can create sufficient other chances with the other pawn to demolish black's defenses. An engine could hold this for black, but whether a real human can, we will see. This will unfold slowly. I actually want to go to the early part of this game because there was a notable double blunder
Mhm. I've
that,
seen it.
that I saw unfold in real time. Of course, my vision was helped by the computer, which the players don't have. That little bar on the left in this diagram. And so white played this hybrid Rui and then Gioco Piano type structure against the Berlin preserves a lot of dynamic chances for white in the game. The playing d4 in this position is one new idea. Seems to simplify some things, but white has dented black's pawn structure, and so long term, white can try to play for advantages against that. Indeed, the theme of black's c pawns is playing out now, 50 moves later, as we speak.
Right.
So normal play, and white again castles on the queen side, which
And here it
increases the
comes.
dynamics of the position. And now we come to the critical moment. Okay, actually, next move. The critical moment is here. And so one, you have a chess vision of the board. So we may laugh when chess-based plants lots of little arrows on our board, but one of those little arrows we should have in mind is that this square is checked, potentially picking up the bishop. It's guarded by white's knight, but since knight is not free to move.
Your audio's cutting out a little, Ken.
Okay, let me.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, and the second theme, however, is deeper and was apparently not seen by Keimer or Magnus. So, if you have though a chess spidey sense that your bishop is loose, a natural move is to put it on a firm square and knock Black's queen out of the center.
Sure.
Okay, so might play that with little thought, but instead, Carlsen played a3, and now you see that bar dip down. And the reason it's dipping down is that after Black captures, well, White cannot be captured with the knight. Okay, so you capture with the queen. And White does not mind a trade of queens because the endgame accentuates some of his play against Black's pawns. But Black doesn't have to trade queens. What both players missed is that Black can get away with capturing this center pawn because there will be a fork on h4 and e2. And that is renewed even if White trades queens.
Right.
Okay, and so the best White can do in this position is play the bishop back, admit that you lost a pawn, and then still be able to start play against Black's queen side. Yeah, it might not have been losing,
but you're in a must-win situation. Yeah,
would have zeroed White's winning chances.
Right.
Exactly, and Black needed to draw in this game.
Yes,
that's all there is.
So that would settle the matter. So a3 is a mistake.
Yeah, a3 is a mistake, but Keimer believed his opponent. You see a lot of playing chess, and Keimer took only 18 seconds over that queen capture.
Interesting.
So clearly the board was an illusion for him.
I would like to defend though the optically positions for the pawn chain g2, f3, and e4, it looks so formidable and it looks so impregnable that, it's so difficult to figure out that actually with knight e4 you will create essentially double attack against bishop h4 and knight e2. And there is one, I forgot who suggested that even if only one piece in enemy's camp is unprotected, you should look for tactics how to expose that. But you have two pieces unprotected, then you must go all in, because one way or another you should be able to get the material.
Just there must be something in the air.
There must be something.
But Magnus never leaves pieces hanging.
That's right.
I guess Keimer trusted him in 18 seconds. That's part of the illusion. Yeah. So now, with the crisis safely passed, this is actually a typical Magnus position.
Yeah,
he can
this
build
is
up as long as he wants to try to create chances. But we're going to give Keimer credit because he found a way to build back. So it begins with preventing White from being able to double Black's pawns on the king side, which would be disaster. But now also setting up a block, and this is putting pawns on the opposite color from Keimer's bishop,
right?
Thus creating the most elastic defensive line on the king side,
and also
now rerouting the knight. Yeah, that's right. They're also on the opposite color of Magnus's bishop. Well, there's one pawn going now. White wants to break through on the king side, so it's interesting that White does not manage to blast a hole there. Okay, so h5, again, clamping down. Now White will play in the center. And here's what's interesting. We're going to see Black's rooks shift to the B file. So you could say that Carlsen was creating a master maneuver game in what follows. But on the other hand, it did not turn out badly for Black. Okay, so there we go. Another pawn on a light square. And occupying the square in front of black's doubled pawns is also a general motif, but exposing the b pawn a little, and Keimer therefore shifted to counterplay against the b pawn. Okay, so and now actually retreated his king out of the way of an anticipated opening of the center. Carlsen improves his king.
Speaking, and now, you would still prefer white in this position, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would prefer white, even though the engine is showing 0.00, because white's options are more consequential. Does g5 work? Actually, I would be fairly tempted to play g5 right here, because it's hard for black's b7 rook to come to the aid of the king if file is opened. But actually that gives away any lick of white's advantage. You have to calculate concretely as well. So in this position, Carlsen decided that he could not gain by maneuvering anymore, and black is threatening a4. So Carlsen made his break, and now black defended very well. The knight on f7 is an anchor in the position, defending black's pawn chain and also watching over g5. Okay, so white put pressure on the pawn chain and forced the opening of the e-file. Now Keimer counterattacked. Now white does not have to bewail the loss of his b pawn. In fact, that solves the problem of white's king and limits black's counterplay. And black's b pawn can be rounded up later. The main truth in this position is that white is threatening to invade with the rooks, and black must counter it now, which was move 39 with black short on time. So now black made the time control. But here now, white's strategy is going to be to round up black's pawns. Now white's kingside pawns may drop off at the same time, but then white is counting on having more tempi and more advanced pawns. And besides, the position with passed pawns on both sides of the board is unbalanced and affords white the most chances for the needed victory. Right. So Keimer, therefore, combines attack and defense in a very neat way, gets the bishop to d7 and takes one pawn. But the second one, we'll see, does not drop off. Okay, now Keimer switches to eliminating some of white's pieces and making his own defense easier. So this is very neatly calculated. You put the rook behind the passed pawn. Now black's pieces are optimally guarding the critical squares of advance for white's a pawn. Okay, then a check. And now, so that's interesting. This move I did not see before entering this game. The idea is that if white captures, then white would lose the a pawn. So the pawn is safe, and white's actually in a bind. White's rook doesn't have, can't go anywhere. So white activates.
That seems like a forced move, right?
Yeah. Now, apparently bishop g2 was a slip. Okay, so this is happening in real time, and also incidentally, the computer has, as white has made some progress, and also the fact that black did not round up the h pawn really hurts, because white's h pawn is fully the equivalent of black's 2. Indeed, black's g7 pawn is a weakness. Right. So maybe I should not be so. So when I saw this, I saw black's rook on a4. I thought that this was a solid defense, but I may have to eat my words here.
Well, the white king is going to go to c5.
Yeah.
And so the bishop is going to be trapped on that diagonal to hold the c pawn. So then you can, it seems to me, pile up on the g7 point.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
There does seem to be winning chances here.
Yes, and now after bishop g2, the computer says white is winning. So this may be.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone that
far. It says
far.
in the Val over 2. So.
Very interesting.
Yes, it's white's move keeps black from
Activating the king. Yeah.
Let's see what black should have done. Was it bishop e2? No, that would have just lost the pawn. So yeah, it was bishop e2 actually. So in fact.
Oh yeah.
The move was bishop e2 to keep that pawn under irons, and then activate the king. And maybe it's hard for white to make progress in this position. You can play g5, you can play king e7. Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this will need a lot of analysis. Positions with rooks. And
wait, I'll tell you, I don't think I would have found bishop e2. I would have played bishop g2. I would have played very similarly to black in this position, I think.
Yeah.
That
Maybe
was more natural to me than bishop e2.
You know what? Maybe black is thinking that he could play bishop d5 in this position.
Wow.
But then you don't have to be Tigran Petrosian or someone to realize that white is going to capture that bishop.
Right.
And now...
Not all exchange sacrifices are equal, yes.
Yeah. And even though, black has, even though material nominally favors black, white's pawns are tempty up, and black's pawns are restrained.
Right.
If black had played g5 and there was no en passant, that might be enough counterplay. But
really good of you to point out how h5 is really restraining black's king side, and now that's the fact that it didn't fall makes all the difference.
Yes. So now. Okay, so let me switch. I'll give you a chance, but otherwise I propose switching to the consequential game in the women's section.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so this is a wild game. Humpy Koneru needs to win with black to level the match in this game.
Right.
And what she trotted out was, is she going to play the French defense? Well, white has drawing lines, like the exchange line against the French defense. No, she played a move that I was notorious for playing in the 1970s. And I had some really stellated games with it, like losing in 25 moves to Jay Whitehead in the U.S. Junior Championship. So I do not have fond memories of playing like this, but here we go. And she turns it into a classic hippopotamus. So she plays d6. And so now the knights come out. So you can play these first 8 moves in your sleep.
Correct.
White is playing like Reinfeld, and black is playing like Seinfeld. Okay. Anyway, okay, so white now gets an attack. The one thing is that this did induce Bella Kotanashvili to attack rather than try to play solidly for a draw that would clinch the match. So
that's an excellent point.
Yeah. So black isn't being rolled the way I sometimes was in this position. Unless white has structural advantages, so black counterattacks. See, the computer says, steady edge to white, even though black's counterattack looks nice. Black castles into it. And here we go. Now, it's sort of irrelevant what the engine of valuation is. The point is that white has decided to support it. And black exchanges bishop, which is usually really risky. It enables black to hit back at white's center. Okay. So white comes, now white's center is going to fall apart, but white is going to invade black's position. Well, this is what you want as black. Okay, and white has already made a misstep, according to the engine. Black has chances too against white's.
Fascinating.
Now, there's a lot of tactics that have not taken time to explore.
Right.
The commentators did.
Yeah, I was trying to figure them out as we were going through this.
Yes. Yeah. It is. And there's very, very subtle point. The right move was rook to e1.
Wow.
For white instead of rook to d1. I don't know why.
Rook d1 would have been more natural to me.
Okay. So, yeah. I mean, opening the rook on that file, and not rook on e1 is more susceptible to forks. But there must be some tactical reason why this isn't working for white. Okay, so now white does win an exchange. Yeah, something dropped off. Okay,
Oh, but now, yeah, now
but the absence of White's bishop defending the diagonal matters more. Okay, so White is threatening checkmate here, and here we go. Now a very subtle point, just a practical reality of playing chess. Okay, so at this point, Humpy Koneru had only 2 minutes left, 6 moves, seven moves to make to the time control. And she decided to repeat moves, but it actually enables White to defend by taking Black's knight and removing the knight on e6 and f4 from the theater of play. And then White could have retreated the queen and switched over to defense. So
also piling up on the e4 pawn. So yeah.
Instead, the players repeated moves, and Koneru, with an extra move and thinking on White's time, was able now to complete the winning combination. So you have to play this accurately, but here we go. White has lost this pawn, and now Queen c5 is a very crucial move to prevent White's king from escaping, and also guarding Black's knight. And the final point is that if White goes left, then Queen b6 check picks up the rook. So White has to go here, and then this is check, and that is mate. So a dynamic game. There have been a lot of examples of such fighting chess, and now they will go to tie breaks in the next round.
Wow. So rook takes on f8 would have drawn for White and advanced her. She would have advanced.
Oh, yeah, it might not have drawn, but it would have been. Let's see.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, it might not have drawn, but it's queens and knights are still pretty dynamic. But it does look like White is going to capture the e4 pawn at the very least. Whether Black
e3 is available move.
That's true, Sasha.
Oh yeah, so maybe White thought that e3 could be played in this position, but this actually seems. Are you getting mated with e2 check? Apparently not.
No.
Let's see if you. Okay, I don't know what's causing that motorcycle sound. Okay, so anyway, so a lot of things may be hard to compute in time pressure.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll go back to us, and if we have time, we can look at Magnus's game from yesterday too. But otherwise,
yes, very interesting.
I also like the fact that you kept pointing out that what was at stake. Somebody had to win that game, win with Black, and White by being aggressive actually sort of played into Black's hands.
Yeah, but Black provoked it with my opening.
It did, absolutely.
So, so let's actually what we should do is take a look at Carlsen's game,
his live game.
At that game, and now it is definitely a winning advantage for White. Only a few more moves have been played, so I guess I should share my screen again.
Yeah, because I definitely gave White winning chances in that position, but I would love to see how it played out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are now here, so this is. Let's see if when we last looked, White had played Rook F5, and Black's reaction was to hit the Rook. White played Rook F4, maybe another move. It's defending the C4 pawn because White's
preventing an attack on the H5 pawn.
Yes, that's right. So now there we are, C pawn defended, and White has been able to rearrange his pieces. Rook from C5 to F4, and King now sitting on C5.
That looked forced to me. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, now what White has done is White is knocking the Rook off the A file.
Exactly, and this I did not see coming.
Yeah.
Very.
So that's actually a really pretty pirouette of White's King. it was on C2 to D3 to D4 to C5 to B4 and now to B3.
Yeah, and you don't have time to go after the H pawn because there goes the A pawn.
There goes the A pawn. And not only that, black's bishop used to control the A8 to H1 long diagonal.
Yeah.
And now it's been completely knocked off. So this is a magician, in terms of theme. How did white take the diagonal away from black? White's bishop is controlling the diagonal to G7, which is lurking over black's head as well. There's no way to stop the pawn. I think we see resignation here, in fact.
Well, he has to pay for failure to play knight e4 with at least a draw and going in the next round. He missed it, and now there are the consequences.
Well, that was his chance, yes.
That's a chance. That's a real chance, yes.
Mm-hmm. And so
he's going to get the bishop out of the way to bring the rook back to cover A8. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So it looks like they will go to tie breaks. And of course, Magnus Carlsen is, he or Hikaru, they might be playing a match to determine who is really the best rapid and blitz player in the world. But I'll just show one other thing. Actually, I'll go straight to turn 30 in this. This was Keimer playing white. And they reach an endgame position like this. And, the engine is saying 0.00 equal, but that doesn't match the reality of playing this position. And the question is, which side is more prone to being able to spoil the position with a single mistake? And that quotient is often determined by how many weak squares there are in the camp. And there are actually one weak square for black on B7, which is supporting C6, a pawn island, whereas white's pawn chain is no such weak squares. And any weakness there is, white's king can cover it. Kings are very good for that purpose. And
black has 2 pawn islands, and the white has...
Exactly.
Yes, I want to emphasize that this is something that came to me later in my career, the idea of having 2 pawn islands versus 1. That turns out to be a significant matter in endings,
right?
Because you have to, you end up being a defender and more passive.
Right.
Is that correct? Is that a good way to put
that is correct, and especially if you're not able to go over on the aggression with your passed B pawn in a position like this.
Right.
So the principle I want to bring out is being talked about more. It's called the zone of one mistake. White can't really make any mistake that ruins this position, but as we'll see, black can.
Interesting.
So black,
very interesting to me.
Yeah. So black, so H5.
May I ask you, in this position, instead of playing rook A8, could have black just played G6 and white would never win this position?
Yeah, that's probably true. Well, I mean, white does have you have to worry a little bit about E4 as a move and whether that would not. But on the other hand, the point of your G6 is that after E4, white's knight is not entering the game. So yes, so I agree with G6.
F4, and after knight F4, I will play H5, and maybe black is even better.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, so this is definitely good. It's actually in some sense playing against E4.
I do like G6 as a move. What do you do just on rook B1?
Rook D1 or B1?
B1.
B1, yes. So this may be why, the engine just says already black is better. It just battened down the hatches.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see how black is better.
Whatever. The engine valuation switches wildly.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is anyway, what Carlsen
and holding the position seems right. Yeah.
Was relieving the pressure on the B pawn by trading a pair of rooks. And then white's rook on C5 is can't maneuver very well.
Correct.
However, what this gave to white was this beautiful outpost on f5, and white now is able to support it and put pressure on black's position and is not moving the rook on f1. Okay, so black has drifted a little bit. Like, I don't know what rook a2 is doing. It's not going to follow up, and it wasted a move. Now black gets to trade the pair of rooks, which was the idea 5 moves ago.
Right.
But you still have to organize your position. And now we will see the one mistake. There it is.
Yeah.
So, as I said, it's a equal position, but it makes a difference.
To me.
It looks equal to you, but maybe the consequent idea of king f8 should have been to trade the knights and exchange white's active knight and lessen
all
the
the pawn
danger.
endings are drawn. So
Yeah, that's right.
No, I don't see white having real winning prospects in a rook ending.
Whereas now the point of this and the point of white having played g5 is that if black guards the b pawn, say by rook b1, then white has rook f5, and there is the second invisible weakness in black's position. Besides b7, also f7, and it's a
which
weakness.
I would not have picked up on myself because the knight was blocking the rook from making that move. So, it wouldn't have occurred to me that f7 was a weak point.
Right,
but it was.
And whereas Carlsen actually played against white's f2, but it was nothing.
Right.
So anyway, and now black actually is lost. So so even a world champion cannot save this because there is no active prospect in the position. You lost your passed pawn. Black actually tried to rebirth a passed b pawn, but white's center is just too powerful.
Yes, I agree.
So it's not just that you've lost a pawn; it's that white just has to bring the king in, and here comes the center. And then we'll scroll through to the end of the game.
All the most
counterplay over, maybe a little bit fine run because you have to see that at b2 you have knight c4 check. But
that isn't hard to find.
White's knight, that is not hard to find. White's knight is back, white's army, and this is where Carlsen gave up. So,
the most interesting games
are
still ahead of us. Each round is becoming more and more interesting. A lot of how Garry Kasparov used to call them chess tourists are mostly gone. So the cream of the cream.
Now, what do we think of this format?
A few moves later. What
do we think of this format in general? It seems to me very exciting.
Yes, a lot of people are praising it on Twitter. Yes.
You see, this is actually a very close formula of Grand Slam tournaments in tennis. But you see, in tennis, the difference, though, is that because there are 4 Grand Slams a year and several others, Masters 1,500 or so on. So even if you lose in first round and sometimes, so I'll tell you, I'm watching now Toronto and Montreal, the 500 tournament. A lot of the top players are coming here for paid practice. They don't care about the results. So let's see, Zverev is losing 6-1, 6-2 to somebody. I don't remember who is that somebody. So essentially what he's saying, okay, so we came here to practice. Let's practice. Oh, you want to win? Oh, you need money? So tell me that. Okay, here's the money. Go, good luck. They are so rich and they're paid so much, they just don't care.
And it's like the pre-Wimbledon tournaments. Yeah, everybody's there just to get in form.
Just to practice, paid practice. It's all what there is to it. Unfortunately, there is no such thing as in chess because there are just not. There's no depth of so many.
This is the next step in chess. I think you're onto something there because
I don't understand why they wouldn't run these tournaments at least 4 times a year, maybe 6 times a year. So then, first of all, it would mitigate this huge difference between this close 2,800 or so club where it's you cannot.
Everybody gets a shot.
Now in this tournament, everybody gets a shot. Now you have to fight to defend your points.
Yeah.
Because when you play, say, Zinfeld Cup, so this 2800 playing against 2780. Okay, so here's a draw. Okay,
Yeah.
you want to draw? Okay, here's a draw. And nobody from outside has any chances to penetrate it.
That's
It's
right.
out. So they're playing their own chess, and these people play their own chess. And there is no a point that they can
Fascinating.
each other.
Yeah.
Fascinating
So,
point. I'm
think-
really with you on this.
Yeah.
At least four tournaments a year like this, and again, since Magnus Carlsen is not defending his title, and this Jingle Jan probably will not defend his title either,
Yeah,
the
who cares?
meaning of the world champion, as much as it was prized for 200 years, and it was such a big deal. There was Capablanca, there was
Wave
Tao.
goodbye in the rearview mirror. It doesn't matter.
The time has gone. The
Well,
time-
what you're saying may take us back to 25 years ago when this tournament was instituted as a world championship, as FIDE's response to
almost no,
Kasparov.
but I'm not saying that this should be world championships. All I'm
Right.
saying is that should be a form of a grand slam, as in tennis. There's
Yeah.
no such title as the
Yes.
world
As
champion.
in golf as
Nobody
well.
cares about it.
Mhm.
What do you care? Okay, the organizers, let's see, in Australia, okay, they have their own flag of Grand Prix. They organize it. It's becoming a huge event or so. Done. Over with. French Open. Okay, great tournament. Everybody's happy. Paris, City of Light. Done. Over with. Next one, Wimbledon.
And
So
St. Louis can be the next Augusta of golf,
Yes.
where the Masters
Well,
champion gets the green jacket.
the other tournament coming up that plays this role is the Isle of Man FIDE Grand Swiss. So it's a question of how you feel about that format as a complement to
Interesting, yeah. I love the knockout format.
Yeah.
exactly. And
but
I would
people have a
I would like to remind
the
you
argument.
guys that the century ago, or even more than that, the most popular form of chess was match, not tournament of any kind. People love matches when there is one guy has to kill the other guy, and that's the end of story. Nobody cares how the other and what is the coefficient and Buchholz and this or that.
I've
You
always
just
felt
have
that
to
way.
go in a ring and get better at it and kill your opponent. That's what brings food on the table, that people are happy with this entertainment and so on. So this form of World Cup, I think it's a very viable form because we have several
And Ken, this must have happened to you more than it happened to me, but you're on board two playing somebody tougher than the guy on board one is playing. And you're just like, oh man, I wish I could play that guy. And, that's the kind of the end of so many Swiss tournaments in my mind, where
Yes.
the pairings are just not equal. So you really, the match play, the head to head, I grew up that way. I grew up rooting for that kind of stuff. Of course, in playing career, it was mostly tournament. But as a chess fan, just speaking as a fan of what I like to watch matches.
But
Yeah,
you see,
that was a property of the tournament that actually put me on the map in late '75. The 6-round Atlantic Open. I beat Brown, drew Matera, drew Banker, beat Deason, and then lost to Art Bisquire in 112 moves. And so I finished with 4. Michael Rode, I think, lost or drew early and played lower rated players and finished on 5.
There
I
you go.
didn't begrudge it. I gained 150 rating points.
Yeah. It was a great tournament for you, but
Yes.
even so, it didn't seem fair.
But in
Well,
many cases,
it was great.
round robin tournaments and Swiss tournaments, they lack drama of the last round. In
Yeah.
a round robin, somebody is ahead half point, so he makes 8 moves draw.
8-move draw.
You guys are trying to win but can't, so there is a very anticlimactic.
Well, that happens in other knockouts as well. If the U.S. women's team had not lost by a millimeter to Sweden, they would have played Japan next. Probably maybe the best remaining team in the field after Sweden. So anyway,
Oh, there are still Spain. I think Spain can do.
Well, that's true. Yes, Spain scored 6 goals in a match that ended 5-1. That was good. Anyway.
No, but this is a pure elimination. Look, if U.S. team for 120 minutes cannot score a single goal against Sweden, regardless how strong or weak Sweden is, does the U.S. team deserve to be considered as world champions? Not this year, maybe next year, maybe a year ago, but not this year. They are eliminated. Goodbye. Go and try to improve.
It's very hard to repeat, and it's very hard to repeat again.
Okay, whoops. Oh, you froze at saying goodbye. That was time.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I would like to thank you so much for today's program.
Yep.
And see you same time.
I just want to do one quick shout out. Sorry.
Yep. Yes, please.
Just one quick shout out to one notable anniversary. This is Mark Crowther, The Week in Chess, reached 1,500. It takes almost 30 years to get there. The indispensable weekly service of games. And in fact, I'm using his versions of the FIDE World Cup games for my screening. So, okay.
Week in Chess.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yep. Okay.
Thank you to all. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.